So the truck was in the driveway, and it was a neighbor right across the street. Where's the Elms at?
I'm sorry? Elms?
Right.
It's on the south side of the lake. Not me. I'm a poor retired veteran on the 16th.
Yeah, I know. I'm not taking it.
I don't know if they've contacted the city yet.
See, I know
that these people, so.
Okay, that's cool.
What did I do?
No, he doesn't have one. I was looking for this, because it's usually over here.
Mine was moved as well. It was loose. It's like, yeah, where did it go?
Hey, we're trying to make sure you all are paying attention.
Seriously.
Well, you're right. I would have noticed it. It was like, hey, where's that? Candy.
Exactly.
Where would it at?
It's got to be behind there.
Oh, this is it? Yeah, he doesn't have one. You'll see that. Isn't that sad? Yeah.
I knew there was some weird because I got in here and my chair was here and I knew there was something weird.
Very often. They must have layer on top. Just keep everything neutral.
Myself back to my seat before 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Okay.
What's going on? It's almost game time.
Hi.
What are you doing, troublemaker? Mr. Lesko.
Oh, hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I got it. I got the email. Yeah, I do.
There she is. I did see that.
Ah, now I get it.
The October 15th City Council meeting is called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Clerk Lesko, could you please call the roll?
Will do. Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Present.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Here.
Alderwoman Nutriano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Busher.
Present.
Mayor Busher, a quorum is present.
Thank you, sir. The Civility Pledge. In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective. At this time. I
Mayor,
would
point
like-
of order.
Yes, sir. Alderman Redpath.
I just want to make sure everybody knows today is your birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So that will segue me into our presentations, because I'm sure they did this because it was my birthday. No, I'm kidding. Tonight, we have the Mayor's Youth Council here to do a small presentation. Do you want to all come up? I know you have a spokesperson, but you can all come up and then together, and then I'll let you do your thing. Come on up. Mr. Disco, are you going to introduce, or are they going to? Okay.
Who's speaking?
Mayor and all the alder people, this is the Mayor's Youth Council. They are a little bit wired today, so this should be a fun night, and I'm giving it to them.
Lucy Graham, senior at Lanphier High School.
My name is Anijah Wallace. I'm a senior at Lanphier High School. I'm the vice president of the Mayor's Youth Council and the communications manager.
That's right.
Go Lions.
Hi, I'm Isha Ramkumar, and I'm a senior at Springfield High School, and I'm the co-communications manager with Nija.
My name is Josephine Ake. I'm a junior at Springfield High School. This will be my second year serving as president of the Mayor's Youth Council.
My name is Caitlin Turner, and I'm a junior at Springfield High School. This is my third year on the Mayor's Youth Council.
My name is Sophia Garcia Van Dyke, and I'm a junior at Rochester, and this is my second year serving as the secretary of the Mayor's Youth Council.
I am Leah Robinson. I am a senior at Southeast High School, and I am the best friend of the secretary.
My name is Evan Powell. I'm a junior at Pleasant Plains High School, and this is my second year on the Mayor's Youth Council.
My name is Satch Beaker. I'm a junior at Southeast High School, and this is my second year on the Mayor's Youth Council.
Stan the man.
My name is Stan Basic. I am a junior at Springfield High School, and this is my second year on the Mayor's Youth Council.
Hi, I'm Isabel Coleman. I am a sophomore at Pleasant Plains High School, and this is my first year on the Mayor's Youth Council.
Hello, my name is Savannah Downs. I'm a sophomore at Pleasant Plains High School, and this is my first year on the Mayor's Youth Council.
Hello, I'm Kate Gross, and this is my second year on Mayor City Youth Council, and I'm a sophomore at Rochester.
Ready? All right. Good evening, Mayor Busher, members of the City Council, and community partners. I am Josephine Ake, and it is my privilege to serve as president of the Mayor's Youth Council this year. Thank you for your opportunity for speaking to you today. The Mayor's Youth Council exists to empower young people to be active participants in local government, foster leadership skills, and ensure the voices of youth are heard in issues that matter to the future of the community. One of our highlights last year was the successful implementation of a donation drive for homeless youths throughout a coordinated effort among the local high schools. Through this, we were able to directly engage with our peers and collect valuable insights. In line with our new goals for the year, the Mayor's Youth Council will focus on maintaining blessing boxes and food pantries throughout the city, starting with the first one at Lanphier High School. These initiatives will ensure that essential resources are available to those in need. Additionally, we are committed to further beautification efforts, managing the city's public spaces and enhancing its scenery to create a cleaner, more welcoming environment to residents and visitors alike. With these projects, we aim to foster a sense of pride and community while addressing both immediate needs and long-term improvements. Thank you again for your time and continued support.
My goal for the city is beautification, meaning I would like for our city to look physically beautiful. In the future, I would like to implement a program to beautify the city, especially when our city is hosting major events. We are the capital of Illinois, so at least 4 times a year, we should have a citywide cleanup day. I will also like to implement a beautification week. This should be the week before the Illinois State Fair, so when visitors come, our city looks good. Beautification involves potholes filled, litter picked up, and beautiful flowers planted along the main roads. I want visitors to see and understand that we are the capital of Illinois.
Hi, I'm Isha, and this is my first year on Mayor's Youth Council, and I've learned a lot so far. I joined to get more involved in my community and learn more about being a good citizen. And Mayor's Youth Council has taught me about community engagement, the importance of it, and how to practice good civil discourse. So community engagement is so important as it empowers us to come together and work towards a common interest. Engaging in civil discourse promotes a greater understanding among everyone and ensures that we treat everyone with dignity and respect. So utilizing these ideas in our schools and teaching them will help us strengthen our community as a whole.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Turner, and as I said, this is my third year on the Mayor's Youth Council. The Mayor's Youth Council has impacted me in many ways. It has helped me achieve my original goal of community outreach, as well as meeting some amazing people from other schools and providing resources that have pushed my education and high school experience to a higher level. I've learned so much about the people in my community and become much more involved in civics, which I've been interested in since middle school. Along with extracurricular activities such as school clubs and ice hockey, the Mayor's Youth Council has provided a very helpful jumping-off point towards college. Overall, the Mayor's Youth Council is providing me with a plethora of connections, resources, and opportunities that have made many dreams and goals seem much more attainable. Thank you. That's all the speakers.
Well, first of all, I want to just thank all of you for your commitment, because these students in our community come into the mayor's office and hold meetings. They have an agenda. They take minutes. I mean, they are professionals, and they're taking their own personal time to do this, so thank you. And as you can tell from their ideas, we have some true leaders here, so I really appreciate all of your effort. We have some older people who signed up to speak to you, if you don't mind staying. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all for coming in. I just, real quickly, you mentioned your oh no, you got to stay at the microphone. You mentioned your initiative for the blessing boxes and the food pantries. Just so people know, what kinds of items are you collecting, and where can people bring them to donate?
We are in the beginning stages of our blessing box initiative. So we've currently put out surveys to the residents at Lanphier area, and we're primarily starting with the students because we want to know more about their population before we start planning for the blessing boxes. Currently, we have plans to include canned foods and preserved foods, things like that can stay in the blessing boxes. But upon request, we can include hygiene products and such.
Okay, that's wonderful. Well, please keep us updated, so if we can help when you get ready to start really collecting, I'd be love to help promote this. It's a great initiative, so thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we will be reaching out to whenever we need help.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for coming up, the best friend of the secretary. I love your initiatives too, and I'm hoping that you can work with us on a project along with our mayor for the downtown, because you have a valid point when we have big activities and festivals like the State Fair where people are coming in from all over the state. That's a great way to do that initiative with cleaning up. And we have our executive director, Carlos, in the audience, and we also have our tourism director too, if you all haven't met him too as well, where we can all work together. And I just love seeing you all bring a smile to my face, and I love watching the work that you do. And Josephine is my mentee, so I love her too. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Gregory.
Ditto to both my colleagues there on everything they said, and I will just say keep up the good work and keep up the positive influence out there among your peers, and you know, maybe next year in a few years we can have a line wrapping around this whole room here of young people looking to be positive on their community. So keep that up. Keep spewing that onto your peers that you're with every day. And I'm proud of you too. And I know Leah, your mom and daddy, is proud of you. Trust me, I talk to them a lot. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you all for what you're doing. And just so you all know, the Mayor's Youth Council, many of these folks here, the students that are here, participated in the Build event. They were out on October 5th helping us clean up a neighborhood. And then they also did a lot of work at our trick-or-treating event last year, and they're going to be there again this year, helping with that out front of City Hall. So thank you all.
Great work.
Okay, one more thing.
You're not singing, are you?
Happy birthday.
job, folks.
We got matching bows.
Mayor, what was the purple for? Did they just coordinate?
The mayor's youth council shirts are purple, so they were.
Got you.
All right. So that's it for our presentations. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-036, an amendment to Chapter 155, Section 155.302, special provisions for temporary signs pertaining to total square footage for temporary signs in single-family and duplex residential districts. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial of the resolution as submitted. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I was going to make a motion to proceed with a vote this evening, but one of my colleagues asked if I would be willing to make a motion to postpone this one more month till next month. The effect of this, if it were to pass, it may or may not, if it were to pass, wouldn't be until January 1 anyway, so I don't have a problem with making that motion.
Okay, so there is a motion to postpone.
Second.
Can I get a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Alderman. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-037 for the property located at 1836 Growth Street, Parcel 1, and 1900 Growth Street, Parcel 2. The petitioners are Jor Matt LLC Series 1 and Jor Matt LLC Series 2. The present zoning classification is R1 Single Family Residence District, Section 155.016 for 1836 Growth Street, Parcel 1, and R4 Mobile Home and Trailer Park Residential District, Section 155.019 for 1900 Growth Street, Parcel 2. The requested zoning relief is reclassification from R1 Single Family Residence District, Section 155.016, Parcel 1, and R4 Mobile Home and Trailer Park Residential District, Section 155.019, Parcel 2, to I2 Heavy Industrial District, Section 155.041, with a conditional permitted use pursuant to Sections 155.041C2, Automobile Dismantling and Wrecking Establishments, 155.041C3, Automobile Graveyards, 155.041C4, Garbage and Refuse Disposal, 155.041C5, Junkyards, and 155.202, Automobile Dismantling and Wrecking, Automobile Graveyards, Garbage and Refuse Disposal, Junkyards, and a variance of Sections 155.112, Surfacing, 155.480, I1, and J, Landscape Screening and Lighting Regulations, Transitional Buffer Yard Requirement and Landscaping, and Screening of Activity Areas, 155.062C, Permitted Obstructions, Front Yard, 155.114B, Regulations for the Location of Off-Street Parking Facilities, 155.063, Required Yards for Lots Adjoining Residential Districts, 155.4048, Further Special Provisions Near District Boundaries, 155.050, Screening, and 155.052, Special Requirements for Large-Scale Residential and Industrial Multifamily and Commercial Developments of the Springfield Zoning Ordinance. The Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is approval of the requested zoning is submitted for 1836 Growth Street, Parcel 1, but denial of the proposed zoning for 1900 Growth Street, Parcel 2. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is concur with the recommendation of the Springfield-Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion. I have that, thank you.
Madam Mayor, I would like to accept the motion for Parcel 1 where they have approved, but I also would like to approve Parcel 2 as well. I spent a lot of time going out to the site, talking to the business and talking to the neighborhood. They're in possession of a letter to the nearest resident who's very much supportive. They want some things done with a fence. The business has agreed to do what they want with the fence to provide the privacy and the safety. This organization or business has been over there, I can remember going as a child, but probably 40-something years, I don't know. Also, the family has asked to speak to this if they can come up.
Just one moment. So we have Well, I think we'll separate these because you have two different recommendations for planning and zoning. So we'll do parcel 1 first, and then we'll
Okay.
do parcel 2 on a
Sure.
vote. So you have a motion to approve parcel 1 as recommended. Can I
Yes.
get a second? We have a second. Okay, so now we can open it up for discussion. First, I'll open it up to discussion for, do the council members want to speak first, or do you want the owner to come up and speak first? No council member signed up? Okay, so Doug Neville has signed up to speak on this. Mr. Neville, would you like to come up, please?
Hello. My name is Doug Neville. Me and my wife have owned Neville's Auto Salvage. We opened going on 21 years now. We've been there. We've been very active with the residents in the area. We would like to take the 1836 from the residential and put it more in line with the usage of the property,
In the 1900.
which is the I-2.
1900.
Well, absolutely. But first off, yes, the 1836. In the 1900 Grove Street, right now, it's just 5 acres of trees. We've, since the homeless shelter has been over there, we've noticed more people in the trees, kind of camping out. We would like to kind of add to our existing property and just have a little more room at the 1900. We've talked, like I say, to the residents. The closest resident, he actually signed a paper that would allow us to take the fence actually closer to his home. The only thing that he asked was that we made that 100% blockage to where the grandkids wouldn't see something over there and think, oh, cool, let's get over there, which we are totally fine with.
Doug, your dad ran it before you, right?
No, I started it.
You started it,
Yeah,
okay.
Actually, I was a Springfield police officer when I started this business, and as it did better and better, then I resigned at the police department, and like I said, I've been there going on 21 years in February. So,
Alex Rabin, I would just add that there was no objectors at the zoning board meeting, and as of today, I have not received any objections to the project whatsoever. And the Nevilles are not adding any new entrances. What they're doing, these properties are adjacent from each other, and they just want to fence in the other parcel, 1900, so they can have extra room. And they're still going to do most of the work and dismantling and stuff at the 1836, where it's always been done for over 20 years. And I think that they would just like to have that ability, and they work during the day, so it's least intrusive on the neighborhood. It's a 9 to 5 business. Any weekends?
No.
No, so we would really, it's his birthday today, too, Madam Mayor.
Happy birthday.
So it'd be a great birthday present.
Neville, happy birthday.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Any
Maybe you'll have a
questions?
good day today for your birthday.
I hope so.
So we have any questions for Mr. Neville from the council? We have a motion and a second for parcel 1, which is 1836 Grove. So we'll take the vote on that first. If there's no one else that signed up to speak, the voting, you okay with that, Nicole? You can't. Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Alderman Redpath.
Aye.
Alderman Gregory.
Aye.
Alderman Williams.
Aye.
Alderman Rockford.
Aye.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Aye.
Alderwoman Notriano.
Aye.
Alderman Carlson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Conley.
Aye.
Alderman Donlin.
Aye.
Alderman Hanauer.
Aye.
10 ayes and no nays, Mayor.
All right, so we have 10 ayes for parcel 1, 1836 Grove Street, so that one passes. So now, related to parcel 2, the variance request is, I'm going to read all this in so you hear it. The variance request is 155.112 surfacing, 155.062C, and 155.114B, parking in a front yard setback, 155.052 related to setbacks, 155.480I1 related to transitional buffer yards and screening, and 155.050 related to screening, and 155.048 further special provisions near district boundaries. So this particular property at 1900 Growth, Alderman, you have a,
Yes. So what is going on there is this is right now zoned for a trailer park. In 2006, from talking to staff as well as the neighbors, we had the big tornado, and there was only 2 trailers left in the trailer park. So it destroyed one, so the other one eventually left. And since 2006, there has been no trailer park. And that's where we got the woods and all the trees and all this stuff. Now, I'll be honest, in my interest, when I heard they wanted to extend that fence on around, it was to prevent the tents and the homeless problem that we were starting to experience from the move from Helping Hands. But also, this was the existing business that the neighbors were already used to. So I checked across the street as well as next door to them, and everybody was fine with it. I think the commission's denial was based around it being for a trailer park, which I told them. I said, well, you know, I'm never going to want a trailer park. We just put some near my homes, you know, over there across the street in the other section of it. So that's where the little hesitancy came from. But we really want to honor them for being there all these years, and we want them to stay, and we want them to expand. So that's why I'm recommending approval as the petitioner has requested.
so for 1900 Grove Street, it is, Alderman has a motion for approval as submitted.
Yes.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion from any alder people on this? Seeing none, Clerk Lesko, can you take a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. Alderman Redpath.
Aye.
Alderman Gregory.
Aye.
Alderman Williams.
Aye.
Alderman Rockford.
Aye.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Aye.
Alderwoman Notriano.
Aye.
Alderman Carlson.
Aye.
Alderwoman Conley.
Aye.
Alderman Donlin.
Aye.
Alderman Hanauer.
Aye.
10 ayes and no nays, Mayor.
So it passes with 10 voting yes, none voting no.
Thank you, Alderman.
Mr. Neville, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Do we need to vote on this live
Good
on
luck.
the screen, Corporation Council, or since we?
No, the roll call vote
Okay,
suffices.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-040 for the property located at 18 The Elms. The petitioners are Marvin Genzel and Joanne Genzel. The present zoning classification is R1, Single Family Residence District, Section 155.016. The requested zoning relief is vary Section 3 setbacks of Appendix A of the Lake Land Use Plan to allow a side yard setback of 6 feet 6 inches from the southeast side yard lot line, a side yard setback of 7 feet 6 inches from the northwest side yard lot line as measured from the building overhang instead of the 10 feet and 70 feet for the rear yard setback from the lake shoreline, from the northeast lake side lot line to the overhangs instead of the 75 feet, and Section 3, subsection B of Appendix A of the Lake Land Use Plan as it pertains to the new structure in relation to the adjacent leaseholder's property on the northeast property line, and the provisions for the new building on the property to be no closer than 5 feet nearer to the shoreline than either adjacent leaseholder structures or 75 feet from the shoreline, whichever is greater, to allow construction of the single-family residence with a 70-foot setback from the lake shore as measured from the building overhang. Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is denial. Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is accept the petition as submitted. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we accept the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation for approval. Are there any alders that wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 9 voting yes and 1 voting present. The next item on the agenda is docket number 2024-042 for the property located at 2242 South 6th Street. Petitioner is 2222 South LLC. Present zoning classification is S2, Community Shopping and Office District, Section 155.031. The requested zoning relief is variance of Sections 155.300C9, prohibited signs, signs with movement, 155.302B4 and 5 and 7, general conditions for temporary signs, 155.302C1 banners, 155.302C3 and D, special provisions for temporary signs, 155.320A, B, D, and E, permitted accessory on-premise signs, 155.322C, illuminated signs, and 155.324, projecting signs. The Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Staff recommendation is denial. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation is denial. Concur with the recommendation of the Springfield Sangamon County Regional Planning Commission. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move that we continue this item until November 19th.
Second.
2024. Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second to continue this until the November 19th meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Alderwoman.
Mayor? I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't know what happened to my request to speak. I just want to clarify for Alderman
sorry.
Redpath.
Yeah, go ahead.
I voted present because there were floodplain considerations with Sangamon County's restrictions, so I want to make sure I don't tread into anything that interferes in any way with work, so.
I figured that.
Thank you.
I just figured it had to do with your job, so.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear. Yeah, thank you very much, Alderman.
Yep.
Yeah.
The chair, I'll wait a minute. Hang on for a second. The chair will now recognize Treasurer Redpath Fager for presentation of the financial report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Treasurer's Report for the Corporate Fund for the month of September. Beginning balance, $49,139,201. We took in total receipts, $21,668,700. We had total disbursements in the month of September totaling $24,211,252, which left the corporate fund ending balance in the month of September at $46,596,649. The ending general fund balance includes $12,549,442, which is the September ending balance for ARPA money. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer Redpath Fager. The chair will now entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report as submitted, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second to accept the treasurer's report. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Chair also recognizes the Budget Director Metzger for presentation or questions on the OBM contract report. Does anyone have questions on the OBM contract report that came out? Seeing none, you are off the hook. The chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the October 1st, 2024 regular city council meeting and approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, or sorry, any discussion? I'm just moving us right along. Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this council meeting.
So moved, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the pre-council first reading? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda into the record of this council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion. Oh, Alderwoman Purchase. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Mayor, I will be present on 2024-420.
420?
Yes.
420 present. We good, Clerk Lesko?
Yep.
Okay.
Noted.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. The chair will now entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion carries with 10 voting yes, none voting no. Agenda items 2024-178, 2024-239, and 2024-333 remain tabled or in committee. Is there any action on these? Okay, seeing none, we'll move along. The next item on the agenda is 2024-404, an ordinance authorizing execution of an annexation agreement with Nancy Jo Hopman for a tract of land with no assigned address located at parcel index 14-16.0-256-031, 14-16.0-256-032, and 14-16.0-256-033 for the Office of Public Works. The chair will entertain a motion to hold a public hearing regarding agenda item number 2024-404.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on having the public hearing? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The motion carries. The public hearing will now be open. Does anyone in the council chambers wish to address the council regarding the annexation agreement at hand?
Motion to adjourn,
Second.
public hearing.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to adjourn the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The chair will now entertain a motion to place agenda item 2024-404 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Voting will now be open. All those in favor, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 11 voting yes, none voting no. The next item on the agenda is 2024-405, an ordinance annexing certain described real property with no assigned address located at parcel 14-16.0-256-031, 14-16.0-256-032, and 14-16.0-256-033, and owned by Nancy Jo Hopman. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda item 2024-405 on final passage.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, the voting will now be open. All those in favor of the motion, please vote yes. All those opposed, please vote no. And the motion passes with 11 voting yes, none voting no. From the council members, are there any unfinished business to come before the council this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to new business. And the library director, I don't think Ms. Gwen is here. Oh, she is. You're, sorry, I didn't get to see you before I came up here. It's all right. Gwen had asked if she could speak with you on new business, so I'm bringing her up.
Thank you
Director
very
Harrison.
much.
Yeah.
So I'd like to, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to invite everybody, if you have not heard about the exhibit that's at the library, Journey to Freedom, Illinois Underground Railroad. Did you guys receive something about this? Yes, ma'am. Okay. I'd just like to remind you that it's at the library. It is an amazing story. It will be there until November 30th. There's a closed caption TV there that will narrate some of the people that are illustrated in the exhibit. I'd like to just invite everybody to come out and take a look at it. It's really a great story. And
Ms. Gwen, do you mind if I interrupt you for 10 seconds?
Not at
For
all.
the listeners at home, will you tell them what the display is about?
Yes, for sure.
They may not know.
So I think when I say Underground Railroad, everybody knows what I'm talking about. The Underground Railroad exhibit is about freedom seekers and the conductors that helped in this whole matter of the Underground Railroad. We are partnering with Looking for Lincoln, and they actually put together the display. So it tells a story about folks that sought out the Underground Railroad and were conductors on the railroad, and these are people that are not well known. So, and they're people that are from around Illinois. They wanted everything to be Springfield centric, but there's just not a lot of information there. So they had to spread it out a little bit. So we were the first site, the library in Springfield, picked for this exhibit. This exhibit will travel around Illinois, but we were the first place picked for this exhibit, and it's pretty darn good. So I'd like to encourage you to come out and take a look at it, okay?
Thank you, Director.
The second thing I'd like to tell you is about the bookmobile. I heard from a citizen that she had spoken to one of you all, and I thought, well, let me say something publicly about the bookmobile. It is due December 6th, fingers crossed. We have been working diligently with them. We've got the interior finishings all picked out. It's going to be beautiful, and we're now working on the wrap, what the outside's going to look like. There's still some work to be done there, but it is coming. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Alderwoman Conley.
Yes, under new business, I was wondering if the chief could come up for a moment.
Absolutely. Chief
Thank you.
Scarlett?
Thank you, Chief. You and I have had some conversations recently around some really disturbing things that have gone on either in my ward or immediately adjacent in Ward 9 that impacted one of my constituents. Specifically, I've had a couple of shootings. A young man was shot last week. He and his friend were out riding bikes in the evening. And, you know, I've spoken with his parents. Chief, I appreciate you and your staff being, you know, open to and going and working with, speaking with the families. But some of the questions they asked were very difficult. You know, what's happening in Springfield? What are we seeing around gun violence? You know, where something like this happens where these two young men were just hit. And what exactly the police department, you know, what are our capabilities and what are we looking to do to really make an impact on the amount of guns in our city and the ways that these guns are being used in our community. So, Chief, I'd appreciate just kind of some feedback there.
Appreciate the opportunity. And I think I would begin with saying not only do we have two young men that were struck while they were riding their bikes, we also had an individual that was gunned down and killed over the weekend. And that is the fourth shooting that we've had in a handful of days all throughout our community. And there's one thing that I've stressed in my tenure as chief is that I will not tolerate gun violence in our community, and we will do whatever we can to address that. And I think it's important that we kind of set the table for what has happened in our community specifically. And if I look at the crime stats January through September of 23 compared to January of September of 24, I can tell you that overall crime in general is up almost 10% in our community. Specifically, stuff to be concerned of, burglaries are up 81%. Drug arrests and drug equipment violations and weapons violations are up. Those make up nearly 35% of our crime increase. Now, some of that is proactive work by our men and women, and I applaud them for that. I would go on to say that we're on pace to once again recover a record number of illegal firearms from our streets. We've already recovered 424 year to date. In the last year and 9 months, we've recovered 861 illegal firearms. The majority of those firearms are recovered from vehicles traveling throughout our communities. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, my stress to our men and women is we need to reduce gun violence in our community. Now, there are several factors that I think play into this. At the end of the day, it's my responsibility as chief to make sure that these numbers, that these numbers are not acceptable and that we address them. However, I think it's worth noting that our juvenile detention center has not been open since September 1st of last year or September 30th of last year as a result of an incident there. So we have juveniles who are becoming emboldened, who are being arrested with firearms, who we have to turn around and release back to their guardians to go back home. And I think that sets a terrible precedent and a bad message for what we as citizens expect in our community. Additionally, we have the Pretrial Fairness Act that's in place. And there are many aspects of that that I absolutely agree with. But the one thing that I can't get behind is that we're allowing career criminals to repeat their offenses, whether it's as minimal as retail theft, where we have individuals arrested numerous times, to convicted felons that were just recently arrested this weekend shooting from a vehicle at a house. That cannot be acceptable, again, in this state or in our community. And I encourage you all to help me in my message to make some tweaks that would be beneficial to the entire state of Illinois. But one other component I would say, we've seen more of a mobile component to shootings. We've seen multiple shots fired from vehicles. We've seen homicides that have vehicles involved in them. And again, it's our responsibility to patrol the streets, to make traffic stops based on data, based on actionable intelligence, and hold individuals accountable. But part of that is getting the state's attorney who partners with us, and they are on board, but getting the judges to hold those individuals in custody based on the law. And so, to me, that are some of the reasons why our crime has increased. Again, the one good thing that we have going for us as a city is that you all have invested in technology to help us fight crime and reduce crime, from video surveillance to license plate readers to NIBIN collection equipment. And I think that speaks highly of the commitment of this council and this city, again, to to give us the resources and the tools necessary to solve crime. But certainly something that, like I said, as a chief, I'm not happy with, and I don't think anyone up here at this horseshoe would be happy with these crime numbers, and we have an obligation and a duty to hold those responsible who are committing the crimes. Hope that answers your question.
Go ahead,
Sorry, but I
Mayor.
don't want him to walk away because there's a whole line of people.
Yeah, sure.
I'm guessing he probably guessed that. Thank you, Chief. And, I just want to say, I realize our resources are, where they are. We have been trying to invest more, especially in, better vehicles for our police department so that, your office is where you work and get around. I will say that I continue to hear increased requests from my ward to see more police in our neighborhoods, in our streets. I will say this second shooting, not really recent turn of time frame, has people very concerned. There's a certain expectation when you live. I mean, we are a city, but we're also a small town. And I think people kind of feel like they come here to have that small town feeling of security and knowing their neighbors. And I'm seeing just some of that sense of security being undermined recently. And I find it concerning because this is a good city. This is a great community. But this resorting to guns as a way of resolving, I don't know, disputes, or again, we don't know, like, especially in the two incidents that you and I have spoken the most about, really what was behind those. But it is really deeply concerning to see, especially our younger community. I mean, we had an example tonight of these kids who came in from the Mayor's Youth Council and the hope that they present for us, and now talking to parents of these young men who have had a lot of that hope kind of and expectation of just doing what kids do, what young people do, kind of taken away from them in a way that's just truly shocking. So I appreciate you coming up and speaking tonight. I think we have a lot more that can be done, and I'd certainly like to, see that we're taking the steps to lower the number of illegal guns in our community, and how they're being used on our streets. It is very disturbing. And I just want to be clear. I know that this is not just obviously it's a city issue. It's not a Ward 8, and I appreciate you coming up tonight because, I've had so many people reach out to me and just have these concerns, and I wanted to hear you speak publicly about, kind of what you're seeing in our community. So again, I thank you for that. And but I do want to be real clear. I'm not saying this is just a Ward 8 issue, and I know my colleagues would like a chance to speak to that too. So thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
If I could just say one thing real quick. I think obviously we have an obligation to hold individuals accountable who are committing crimes, but we also, and when I say we, all of us up here have an obligation to invest in our youth and give them every tool and resource they need to be successful, and do our best to encourage people to take the right path when it comes to major life decisions. And I know we have invested some of Senator Turner's funding in some various programs that are going to be beneficial to providing programming for our youth. And I think that's important to recognize that even from a law enforcement perspective, and as a dad of young children, I want to invest in the future generation of Springfield because that's what makes us successful.
I'm sorry, Mayor, really quickly, one thing, I do remember another plug for the register your rings, right, your doorbells.
Yeah.
And if you could just kind of briefly explain to people how they register, if they have a video camera, how they register that, and how the police department accesses those videos.
Yeah, so the program's called Project Safe Neighborhoods, and essentially what it is, you can get on our website and click on there, and there's a I want to button, register your camera. All that does is gives us an idea of where cameras are located throughout the community. We don't have access to those cameras, but we have a name and a phone number and know the address where the cameras are, and in the event we are investigating a crime nearby, we can call that individual and say, would you mind checking your cameras at this time to see if anything was captured?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Alderman Williams.
Right, thank you, Mayor. So, I appreciate you, Chief, I really do. So, my initial response and following up with the Alderwoman is, was there any arrests? But then you immediately went to the law, the new law that was enacted. So I just want you're aware that the judges have discretion.
Very little discretion.
Very little.
That's correct. That's the part of that needs to be tweaked, as I'm being told by the state's attorneys.
So have they been using their discretion in your opinion?
In my opinion, from what I'm being told, they're using all the discretion that they're allowed by state law.
Out of all these 4 shootings, was there 4 arrests?
There's some stuff I can't talk about that. There are, I would
That's
say,
a problem.
3 of the 4 cases that we have good leads on, yes.
Have you identified who the gun owners were, where the guns came from?
We don't have the guns in some of the cases. So until we have the guns, I can't identify. Now, that's part of our NIBIN technology that we have. We can put that in a machine. We also partner with the ATF. We have a task force with them that we're a part of. That's where they help us out. That's a federal agency who can track and trace guns.
See, because to me, that's a big part of the problem. We never talk about where the guns come from. Who's the owner that's irresponsible, maybe, if it's a kid or a teenager? I mean, I don't know. I just know teenagers can't make guns.
Right.
They have to get them from somewhere, and we never tell the public the story of how they got the gun. Who's the gun? Shame the person who is the legal owner of the gun. We have to do stuff like that if we really want to make a change on what we're talking about. If we want to say the judges need more discretion, we just got to go back to the senator and go back in.
Correct. That's what I'm asking for help with, yes.
Okay, I understand you, but I just don't always want to blame it on the law, because like you said, the law does a lot of good things.
Absolutely, and I'm in support of the law, and I would not blame the law.
But it's used every time there's a shooting, I notice, with law enforcement, not just your agency, the sheriff, I can go on. And this is a little of my activism side coming out. So I'll just say this, I'll work with you to tweak it if you feel they need more discretion. But from talking to them over at Sangamon County, they're doing their job, and they're saying that some judges just don't use the discretion.
That could be.
So we'll talk about that a little bit. My second thing is I got some pictures from a constituent. And the picture showed a woman on her bike and 2 German shepherds next to her.
Okay.
Now, this woman rides through Glen Air subdivision, Adloff Estate, so every day. So as she's coming down the streets, the kids at the bus stop or wherever, they go scattering, which upsets their parents. So of course, I get the call, or in this case, I got the picture. My instructions was call animal control. They call animal control. Animal control says, call the police. What is you guys' role? Are you the enforcement arm of animal control?
No,
or are they
absolutely
just
not.
babysitters of a shelter?
I would call animal control if I got sent to a call like that. If there's aggressive dogs, that's what we do. We call animal control.
When it's aggressive. So if the dog, because to be honest, this constituent is arguing to me, I'm not going to put them on a leash because they're well-fed, well-trained, beautiful dogs. She's right. But the law says even if you take them out to use the bathroom, they have to be on a leash. Mm-hmm. She continuously every morning to ride through these 2 subdivisions, and different people react different ways when they see dogs. Some kids run, some stand still, some older people get nervous. The point is she's breaking the code. Mm-hmm. Supposed to be on a leash. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find out who's supposed to enforce it. But I don't think it's up to a citizen to determine if it's a mean dog or a nice dog or what. They just see a loose dog and panic. And my biggest concern with it is she's getting away with it. So pretty soon we got a kid coming with 2 pit bulls. Same scenario. Are they going to get to just ride through and everybody just trust that whoever's on the bike got control of those animals? I need yourself and myself and the director of public health to meet maybe to figure out who's going to be the enforcement arm, because constituents shouldn't get told to call the police when they call animal control, because that's what they're thinking animal control does this.
I would agree.
And if we're going to have a mixture, that's confusion. We need to get this straight on who's enforcing it, no matter what kind of dog. You know, If it's out and it's not on a leash, and that's supposed to be our code and our rule, somebody has to enforce that. And that's all I'm asking is for some clarity. If you can help me with that, that's why I'm asking for the meeting with their director as well, so we can figure that out, because they think they're right. Animal control people think, no, you call Springfield Police for that. We run the shelter. Well, then what's this animal control about if you just run the shelter? Is that your understanding? They just run the shelter?
Absolutely not. They have people that go out into the field and deal with injured animals, aggressive animals, animals that are maltreated, misfed, all those sorts of things. That's their responsibility. Animal control, that's what we are paying for them to do.
Well, that's what I thought. So when she says call the police, is it because of what you said, aggressive dogs is when you come in?
No, not at all. We call animal control when the dogs are aggressive. They come out, they have the tools and the training necessary to deal with dogs.
Okay.
We don't have that.
So we just need to sit down with that director and get that straight. man,
Absolutely.
So he can get his employees straight.
Sure.
That you don't instruct them to call the police. They have to do something. They get the money. They're on contract. All the men up here think that it's impossible to have our own animal control, or it's too expensive to have our own animal control. So until we change that, we got to make people do their jobs. I was just making sure it wasn't your job, because now I'm going to be on he's a kind of a new guy, but he's a nice guy, that took the Gail's place, over there, over public health. I really want to get this straight. I appreciate your time. Thank you, Mayor.
We can talk afterwards. We'll get a meeting set up. Sure.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be real brief. I think we talk about programs for youth and trying to be proactive to ensure that they're not in the streets, but we do have those youth who are very intentional about what they do. For instance, there was a lot of constituents that sent me, Sean, a couple of my colleagues, photos of, I want to say, I was told it was a youth standing on top of an officer truck with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like photos of it. And I definitely think, I'm sure we can tell what car, who that belongs to because of the license plate. And I don't know if it was involved in something with action going on and they might not have been at their car. But when we have youth like that that's being intentional, I know it's hard and it's frustrating for you and the department because we can't always charge them because of this point system. And I think that I'm big on education, and we definitely should educate the community about the point system and how that works and how come sometimes we cannot charge a youth person with something like that.
Yeah, and charging may not be the correct term. Okay,
That's
so
fine.
essentially there's a point system in order to house someone in a juvenile detention center. We used to have one here in Springfield, juvenile detention center. Based on the type of call for service that the juvenile would be arrested for, based on their criminal history, would determine how many points. There's a point system in place, and if they reach the max points, then they would be automatically housed in the juvenile detention center here in town. Obviously, we don't have that facility anymore, or it's not currently up and running, so we still call them. They screen the juvenile, and then they try and place that juvenile somewhere in the state of Illinois in a juvenile detention center. And if we're lucky enough that one of these individuals gets placed in a juvenile detention center, then our officers will drive that juvenile, sometimes 3 hours each way, and drop them off. So an officer spends more than half of their shift driving a juvenile up and dropping them off. However, majority of the time, those calls come back and there are no beds available for these juveniles. And then the response is we release the juvenile back to the guardian. And that's a concern of mine. That should be a concern of everyone in this town because it makes the juveniles feel emboldened, especially those individuals, like you said, that have a track record and a history of causing problems and violence in our community.
And, you know, it's very personal for me when I know that I've personally seen juveniles shooting a gun and shooting a gun into a home, and then they just get released. So we need to somewhat try to figure that out because, as you just said, it's an increase in violence from juveniles.
And I should be clear, I've had multiple phone conversations with a judge here at Sangamon County that is assisting me in trying to get the juvenile detention center back open. Essentially, the chief judge of the circuit oversees the juvenile detention center. That judge is not in Sangamon County. That judge is currently in Menard County. So But I'm working with the judge in Sangamon County to help me get the facility back open.
And sometimes, Chief Scarlett, I'm sorry that we got these questions, but people need to hear this
Sure.
publicly because,
Absolutely.
again, you all are trying to do your job, but sometimes there's so many barriers put in place for you to do your job. So that's good information to know as well, and please keep me abreast of how it's going too.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Alderman Gregory.
I'm gonna try to be quick, but I won't make no promises. But I will say, on the juvenile detention center, I agree with you. We probably need it open, but I don't want to see it open until they can sort of explain how a juvenile gets a gun in there in the first place. It makes no sense, and so we can't open it back up, and then we worry about, and then they go in there and get a gun in there anyway. So that part bothers me, and we've had those conversations, but I understand it, but they got some things to fix, and let the community know it's fixed before anybody's going to feel comfortable with that.
And if I could just clarify, there were several parameters that had to be put in place before that facility would be open, one of which is a screening tool before a juvenile be walked into a facility to determine there was no illegal weapon on them. Another one was a minimum number of individuals that had to work at the facility, so they had a proper manpower in place. So there are several things that they had to fix in order to get the facility open, which is one of the reasons why it's not currently open.
Okay. All right. And I just hope they, provide some transparency on what went on, how we dropped the ball with that in the first place, and what we have done to fix it. And I look forward to seeing that. But I'll say, I've heard everyone, and we talked about every tool in the book that we support from this council. But yet, we're seeing a spike, especially in gun violence. I know Alderwoman Conley had some unfortunate events in her ward. This is like an everyday occurrence in mine, right? And I think everybody in the city understands that it does happen in other wards. We've seen it, some happen out at Wendy's, but it's never really a big deal, not saying for our officers, but for us, until it goes out west somewhere. But I deal with this every single day. I can think of 4 murders quickly in a 3-week span. It was just like, whatever. But so, and I hate to say it, and I hope we can slow it down, but I think we're going to see more. Because until we as a country start really, really addressing it, we're going to do what we can do here in Springfield, but really, really addressing not only disinvestment in communities like the one I represent, but also when young men do make mistakes or have problems and issues, and we put them incarcerate them, when they get out. I don't know how many calls I get from young men who are getting out of prison, out of situations, who have nowhere to stay. It's pushed back all on the family that's poor in the first place. They can't help them. So they go and maybe stay in some halfway house in some city that they've never been to a day in their lives, and get put out because they can't get a job and get everything together in 60 days. So these are truths. And for me, I've always talked about our focused deterrence program, Chief. I think that is important to have members of our community really working with teens. We just had a fabulous mayor youth council up here. Not one black male. Not one. And if I go back more, we don't have those. So I think those things are important, and I'm not saying that we didn't pick those. I'm just saying that's important, so they can go back to the other young men. These kids and young people, that section of this problem, because all of our students are not young people, I definitely don't want to put that on them. But for that section, they need to see some leaders to take back to those schools. And we're not seeing those leaders being selected, and us really, really trying to do it. Our focused deterrence is important. I think it is important for us to identify young people who we know is going down the wrong path, and getting some people from the community. Last time, we've had this before. We had a kick with violence. We had it settled for a while, and now it's back up. And we have the same tools that we always have. We have more officers now than we have, making more money. We've done everything that we can to ensure that we got what we need in our police department. But yet and still, this problem persists. And we have to involve or engage the community more. And not just the same old members that we've always worked with. I've said this, we got to bring different members on the table. Yes, we do have Senator Turner's violence prevention funding. But we just now, one of the organizations just now getting to the point where he's able to use it and utilize it. And you know, so we're going to try to make some moves and try to get that. But that's why I've been pushing this, because we have a serious problem in our city. With gun problems and shootings and all of these things, and you know, I don't see it getting any better. Every day I wake up, it's something. Sunday I wake up, it's something. It ruins my whole stinking day. You know, Keon Day walking to school, he gets shot, dead on southeast, not far from that school. You know, so you know, I support you, but I really want to push for some of the things that we've done that's been successful in the past, and I know we're doing some things, but I think we got to ramp up our efforts on some things that we've done in the past that were successful for us and that helped us really corral some young people who are going down the wrong roads, and then adults know right from wrong, and you know, I try to be a leader and try to push those things out there as well. But you know, I'll say this whole issue, it's a lot to it, and it's more than just, you know, judges and sentencing and stuff like that, and it's really a lot to it. So, thank you. I just want to.
But I would say one thing. I think it's more than just the police department too. Absolutely. I've got 200 plus members that work for me, yes, and there are 114,000 people in this community. And if we want to truly address the juvenile issues, then it's got to be more than law enforcement standing up here saying we've got to fix problems. We've got pastors, we've got civic leaders, we've got, you name it, okay? I need help is what I'm saying. Law enforcement is not going to solve the problem that we have.
I agree.
We're going to do our best to hold people accountable because that's our role. But I need help solving the juvenile issues, solving the lack of family dynamics, and getting back to, I'll leave it at that.
Because the key is, Chief, many of the times, our officers are coming after the problem has already occurred. So we want to nip this thing in the bud. We don't want this mindset in our city. So I thank you for your work. I'm going to support you in all I can. So
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Rockford.
Chief and council members, you know, the problem starts in the home. We need parents to step up and be parents. We need guardians to be guardians, whatever. You know, these kids, you know, from the day you go to touch a hot stove, you get your hand smacked, and that's no. So again, I know times are tough. We can blame everybody, but we need to start looking in the mirror and become parents and guardians. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other discussion? Thank you, Chief Scarlett. Are there any other alders that have any new business to bring before the council? Okay. Seeing none, we will go to citizens who have signed up to speak and address the council. Alice Ramey.
Riding up in the elevator with you, you didn't tell me you had a birthday, Mayor, but happy birthday.
Thank you, Miss Alice.
Mr. Rockford, you hit it on the head, bigger than anybody else can imagine. You know, it doesn't take one person, it takes a village. Every one of you, if you see a kid that's not doing right, then pull him aside and talk to him, like I do. Sometimes I get slapped, but that's okay. But I did that with my nephews. I told them that they had to stand and represent themselves and help other people to be good in their family. It's what we need. If we don't do it, we're going to have every one of these kids out here trying to do more than what they're doing because parents don't want to say no. They'll say, okay, honey, here's your video. You can do this. That's not no way to raise a kid. Let's get back to the old way and start telling them the right way to do it and start spanking them. Take away their privileges, you know, and the parents are going to have to be accountable for the guns because they're the ones that buy them. They're the ones that lay them around on their bed, okay? I understand that problem. I saw a very young kid of mine, Cecil Turner, get shot because the kid pulled down a shotgun in the house and shot him and didn't know it was loaded. This is ridiculous. I've never heard of such things. And we got a juvenile hall? Yeah, you can get a gun in the jail, and you know that, okay? Pat, you know that. You can get them anywhere you want and take them in. Why is it so hard for people to understand that? Why is it so hard when you have these groups out here, like I believe these people got good ideas, okay? I think it's time. I think it's time that you all sit down, look at yourself in the mirror, and say, no, this is not going to happen anymore. You got a young kid, corporate office. When she does something wrong, are you going to let her keep on going, or are you going to do it as right? This is what it's about. This is raising your kids to stand up and be accountable for what they do and not do, and show them the right way. And sit down with them at their schoolwork, like I did, okay? I raised 4 kids. They're not mine, they were my nephews and nieces. I had one that I had a problem with. The only reason he had a problem with was I was too busy. And that's another thing, parents are too busy. So you see, you're gonna have to take time. If you can watch 2 hours of wrestling or 2 hours of basketball, put that kid in front of you. Yeah, and talk to him while you're watching basketball or football or some sports. Or take him outside and show him how to do it. If you don't, find somebody that can help him. And we got a boxing thing on Cook Street. I asked the guy if I could come in and box. First thing he says, you got to cut your nails. I says, okay, but that's it. You know, you got to learn to do things and teach them. Not just sit over and drink a cup of coffee, smoke a cigarette, or have a bottle of beer, of Stag or whatever, or a martini, extra dry with olives, okay? You're going to have to teach those kids yes and no. And you can laugh all you want, but it's the truth. If you don't start standing up and putting a little paddle in your hand when you see one of your grandkids doing wrong, then you're losing your grandchildren. Thank you, Mr. Rockford. Happy birthday again.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person signed up to speak is Robert Williams.
I'm going to hit you with a whip.
Good evening, Mayor. Happy birthday. Good evening, everybody. Alderman. I would like to thank the people that have been helping me since I've been out here, which has been over a year. I would like to give out a shout out to Jason, Mrs. Williams downstairs, security guard. Jason, he done gave me some clothes. Williams, he done gave me some clothes and some money. But ain't nobody gave me a place to stay. I'd like to give shout out to the clerk office because they've been giving me water and snack, which has been quenching my thirst and my stomach because some days I ain't have money to buy food. Now, y'all violating my constitutional right by not letting there having me house. And this is what the governor signed, the United States Supreme Court signed, and it don't make no sense. Now, 2 days ago, I was here in front of the fountain, and this lady named Angel was comatose, drunk, all out of her mind. Her friends all up in the front park area. This lady sitting down, laying down, with her pants halfway down with a diaper on. Everybody walking around, walking past, looking stupid. Then nobody take the initiative. Now, I don't care about the color of your skin because my mother, my father, my grandparents didn't raise me to look at the color of the skin. So I took the initiative. I grabbed the lady, picked her up, pulled on her clothes. No, first, let me back up. I took that pink water, put it in a can, and revived her, woke her up. Then put her clothes on. Everybody looking stupid, like I said, because they didn't know what to do. They was afraid. But me, I just, acted because I felt that if she'd have stayed down there, she could have died. And she out here homeless. She's staying at the Catholic Charity. And now she got kicked out because she have a drinking problem. But she also have mental health issues. each time I see her, she talking about killing herself. I'm not no psychiatrist. I'm not no doctor. But I know I got the skills to talk to these people out here on the street. They talk to me. We talk to each other. I help them when I can, and if I can't, I help by giving them food, money, whatever whatever kind of support they need. Now, I would like to talk about Sangamon Tower. I was barred from Sangamon Tower from drinking some water. Me and my friend and two of my buddies, we was drinking water. And Linda, I ain't gonna say the other lady's name because she don't want to be known. But anyway, we was sitting down there drinking water, talking, and this was the first relationship I had. And this woman, somebody called the police. Lester came, he's no longer there, and he said we was causing the problem. And all we was doing was sitting down having a conversation. And I get barred because I curse. Look at the police report. Because I said a curse word, which wasn't directed at him. It was just in the sentence. And it's still to this day, I haven't been in there. And now, near North, because this lady said I hugged her, they barred me from there. For just because I know her through her friends, which is all my friend. Now, if you look at the picture over in Sangamon Tower, every time I see, I greet my friends, I hug them because that's how I was raised. So she lay there, get over near North. She's standing near North, and she told these people I hugged her and she feared something. But I never did give her the impression that I would do anything to hurt her. And if you ask anybody over there in Sangamon Tower or anybody that know me, I don't disrespect my elder, and I don't allow others to disrespect the elders because they the one that created us. And I want to thank you, Ms. Purchase, because you offered me a job. But ain't nobody. I've been, like I said, on the street for over a year. And I done seen every last one of y'all. And ain't now one of y'all came up to talk to me, asking me, do I do this? Except for these two brothers right here. And that's a shame.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Can I get some help? Can I get a place to stay?
Thank you.
You know, it's cold as hell out there.
The next person that was signed up to speak was Jared Brown. I don't think Mr. Brown is here. Is that correct? Okay. The next person signed up to speak is Tabitha Gregg, but I don't know that Ms. Gregg is here either. So the next person signed up to speak is Bradley Russell. Bradley Russell here.
First thing I want to say is the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. You should think about that and what it means. You're all elected. We elect you. In February of '65, they promised the African Americans 40 acres and a mule. And in December of '65, they created a 13th Amendment. It was to abolish slavery, but not criminals. They could arrest the criminals, put them back into jail, put them back in the field to make them work more. One of the things they arrested them for? Vagrancy. 159 years later, here we are, trying to arrest people for vagrancy. Your great-great-grandfather, John, was running around in New Jersey in '65. So you got a better start. The ones that went to prison in '65, they left a mother and children at home. And they were stuck in the prison. Thus started the houses of single parents. And y'all saying that, you know, parents should be able to provide for their family and tell them what's right and what's wrong. How are they going to do it from prison? for vagrancy. They didn't go out and shoot anybody. They didn't go rob anybody. They were homeless, which, I mean, you lived on a plantation and you were removed from the plantation, given no houses, no 40 acres and a mule, and then arrested for it and put right back in prison, right back into slavery. And you guys wonder why, 159 years later, we're still here. History repeats itself if we don't correct it. In the 80s, they made this massive drug thing. They pushed all this crack into the black communities, everywhere else. And crack held a 5-year sentence for 5 grams. And for 500 grams of cocaine, it was 5 years. You can guess where the cocaine was and where the crack was. And the thing about pumping all that crack in there, guess what it creates? Drug addicts. Drug addicts can't get jobs. Drug addicts can't raise their kids or tell their kids right from wrong. We created that. You pump all that crack in there and create a drug addict. I mean, they don't have resources. It just baffles me how you guys all scratch your heads and don't understand this. You know, and then once the kids are in there, they don't have the parent to help raise them or anything, so where are they going to end up? No dad at home because he's in prison, y'all put him there. They're going to find their family in the streets. And in the streets, there's a different code. I digress. The one thing that I saw a few weeks ago was that 7 of you, including yourself, wanted to marginalize the east side once again. They want to have somewhere for the kids to go. Now, y'all would rather tear down Bruns Lane. You know, you guys took down the tents whenever the car place came. You spend how many, I mean, the presentation last week for the homeless and everything else, we spend how much money on that for this city? Did you guys contact them before you bulldoze down a tent? Contact them. You create laws. They'll create the homeless. They'll take care of that. You have people for that. You're not out in the streets patrolling, right? Because you have police for that. Use your resources. That's what you got to do to get past this. You got to use your resources, and you got to create resources. You have to create a boys and girls home, a YMCA. If you don't give them anything to do, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to be in the streets, shooting, robbing, and doing everything else. If you don't create a solution, all you're doing is recycling the problem.
Thank you, sir. The next person signed up to speak is Donald Hanrahan.
Don Hanrahan, Pleasant Plains, Illinois. I have just 5 minutes to refute Doug Brown's unsupportable claim that solar installations have to match the 190 megawatt capacity value of Dahlman 4, requiring a solar installation that generates 26 times that value, taking 55 square miles of solar panels and a price tag of $6 billion, and y'all just sat there and didn't say anything. And that's all without battery storage. He even implied solar is ineffective on cloudy days, blatantly untrue. Yet not one person questioned any of this baloney. Middle school science teaches that solar radiation penetrates clouds. Everybody knows that. There's just a 10 or 15% efficiency loss on cloudy days. That's it. And saying that 54 square miles of solar panels is required is the silliest smokescreen I ever heard, justifying their support for fossil fuel dependency. How? Because it's not capacity value that matters. That's Dahlman's maximum rated output, 190 megawatts, as if it's running continuously 24/7 at full blast. The correct measure is capacity factor, not value. And that's the ratio of actual real output of Dolman 4 to its total capacity value, expressed as a percentage. Dolman 4 has never, ever, even remotely approached 100%. Never. And it never will. Coal plants can't. The U.S. Energy Information Agency confirms Dolman's capacity factor was only 35% in 2023, dropping to 24% through June of this year. Ironically, 24% is about the same as the national average for solar, utility scale solar without batteries. With batteries, it practically achieves the 35% capacity factor that Dolman 4 has. Funny, the Lincoln Land Wind Farm right next door in Morgan County's 300 megawatt installation is also around 35% capacity factor, and it cost $200 million. And here's a reality check. Black Diamond, the array just 30 miles away, has a rated solar capacity of 600 megawatts AC power, enough for 100,000 households. On sunny days, it can feed 3 times Dolman 4's maximum capacity to the grid on 4,000 acres. All right, so 600 megawatts on 4,000 acres, and Doug's telling you to equal Dolman's output, we need 55 square miles. It's ludicrous. And once operational, the sun's free. How much is your coal contract that you're looking at with Foresight Energy, a terrible player in the market? The low end of the industry standard says you can generate 0.25 megawatts per acre. So to match Dolman 4's actual 2023 average output of 66.5 megawatts would take 1,100 acres, not 55 square miles. And if you're looking for acreage, guess what? I know where we've got some. Dispatchability is an issue, it is, but it can be ameliorated with batteries, and we can keep Dolman 4, listen to me, we can keep Dolman 4 as a peaker plant. That's what the MISO grid wants. They want peak capacity to be dealt with in the summer. So we can get our main regular utilities from solar. We don't need to run Dolman 4 all the time. Now, after ludicrously inflating the costs and size of solar, the immense costs of Dolman gas conversion, and probably even larger costs of carbon capture and storage are conspicuously absent from CWLP's presentations. No one seriously questioned that. We know there's a completed study on a 100% gas conversion. Why can't we see it? What's the big secret? Show us the study. Carbon capture and storage is typically double the cost of renewables. Double. What's the cost? Nobody asked. Whose land is going to be seized for the dangerous high-pressure pipelines? Where are you going to permanently sequester it in Sangamon County? What about the county's pipeline ban? Not a single question up there. MISO wants the ability to meet peak demand. That's the problem. They don't need 24/7, 190 megawatt coal power. If they did, why is our capacity only 35%? We need to ask these questions or find someone who has the expertise to frame these issues for you. MISO's fossil fuel dinosaurs are on the way out anyway, and MISO's undergoing major transformational change. When it's completed in 15 years, won't coal be obsolete? It already almost is.
Mr. Hanrahan, your time is up. Thank you. The next person signed up to speak is Ken Pesha.
So I come up here every week, talk about something different. I usually pick on you guys. I'll give you a break this week. We'll get back to you last minute or so. This week I'd actually like to talk to you, Mayor Boucher. You were recently on an interview on Sports Radio 1450 AM on Sam Madonia's AM Springfield Hour by Hour podcast on October 9th, 2024. Anyone interested in listening to it? It's a 7 a.m. hour. They're broken out by hour segments, but I'll save you the time. I wrote down the transcript. When asked by Sam, city council meetings have grown longer in the past than in the past. A lot of people have something to say. Are there any limits as to what they can say or for how long? It's a pretty basic question, right? The answer to that by our mayor was that I believe this is all political, referring to us, the folks that have shown up here from your community to speak to you. I hate to say that, and these are direct quotes, but I'm going to say that we do have a pretty loud group of democratic socialists, and that is clearly not my politics. So they dislike me very much because that is not my politics. I'm going to be real clear here. I don't care what any like the letter behind your names. I don't. You can be a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian. We're here because we care about this community. First off, I'm not a democratic socialist. I don't actually declare those kind of things because political philosophy is a lot more complicated than simplifying it that easily. More so, that kind of dog whistle to your constituency, the kind of people that vote for you directly, i.e. the Republicans that you did in fact switch over to publicly, which we can all acknowledge through your own behavior, that's a dog whistle. That was intended to deflate our efforts, color what we do, and degrade us by using a catchword like socialism. I'll continue, though, because I don't want to leave what else was said untouched. Sam asked, how are you handling that personally? Because you know some of these people, right? She said, we come into this meeting, and they just say horrible things to me at this meeting out loud publicly. I'm sorry, has anything we've said to you guys been outside the realm of reality? Whether or not you liked it, has it been outside the pocket? Am I vile? Am I disgusting? It's what our mayor thinks about the people that have come here to speak. That's what you said on a public radio show. Vile things you wouldn't say to no, and then you cut and said, my religion and my psyche does not allow me to speak to others that way, so I can't comprehend why you would speak to others that way. Maybe that's their politics, but it certainly isn't mine. Quite frankly, it kind of sounds like you're making it political. Instead of recognizing that you, as an elected official, are to be held accountable and culpable by members of the public and your community. Disparaging us like that is the kind of attitude that when you claim to be civil and call for civility, kind of makes it seem like you're lying, or you're just hollowly saying that to try and play respectability politics and expect us to be kind and polite while you try and make unhoused into indentured servants. My tone and my anger and my passion shouldn't offend you as much as the idea that you would lock up someone who sleeps on the streets to satisfy the idea of beautifying this city. Beautifying it would be working with the members of your community directly, reaching out to us and speaking to us like we have value. Not just some political ideology that you can dismiss readily because it doesn't fit into your pre-cut conception of what you think is a valid member of your community. Because I'm going to continue with what else you said. Sam asked, oh, no, I don't want to skip this. I just know that those are not the people that I would normally hang out with. We're not supposed to hang out. We're your constituents. You should treat us with the due respect that we have as the people that elected you. And that's not very respectful to anyone that's been up here, not even me specifically. Sam asked, are there council members, when you look around, there's some of them on the edge. You said, there are some who align with the politics of these folks, but for me, the art of disagreeing better is what we need to have. Springfield, you and I both know, Springfield is a small town, everybody kind of knows each other, and the folks in our community really do not have an appetite for that kind of language. What language am I using that's so distasteful? I mean, I got gavelled for a word. I'm not going to get into that, Lakeisha. But my point is that using that kind of word, again, is nowhere near offensive the level of literally trying to lock up the unhoused, literally allowing the police to abuse our citizens. That's more vile and disgusting than almost anything I could cook up, short of things that would get me arrested. Now, the final part is the one that got me. She said, I've had more Democrats come up to me and say, I'm a Democrat, and I don't talk to others that way. I do not approve of this behavior. Then I have said, oh, they're right, we should just, and then you said, they put on social media, we belittled her. That isn't the way to talk to people, which is off of one of your own constituents' web pages. But our community is not, I think we have a great community, our community is not a vast majority of those people. Who are those people, Misty? Are we not worthy of your attention, your thoughts, your meetings? Do we not have value? I get it, my time's up, but I really think it's worth considering that you would talk about your own citizens like that on a public forum and expect us to be civil while literally just degrading us verbally.
Thank you for your time. The next person signed up to speak is Jenna Broom.
Good evening. From grade school into high school, I was bullied a lot as a kid. It made me feel unimportant, unvalued, and unloved. I was prescribed my first antidepressant at age 15 to deal with those feelings, and I have lived with mental illness ever since. I think that's why I'm so upset at the way this council has treated our unhoused population. Vulnerable people being bullied and victim blamed and harassed due to being unhoused. Again, it makes me mad. And I do understand, I actually had a conversation with someone this weekend. I get the issues that those people in the neighborhood on 5th and North Grand have. I get it. I get why people wouldn't want a large group of people they don't really know right down the street just hanging out. I get that. But as we've seen in these past few months, the city has been choosing the bullying route, and it's not working. The shock and awe displayed by members of this council at the services provided in last week's session was honestly embarrassing. Members of this council, especially those with 30 years, shockingly not here, of experience, shouldn't have to get a presentation. They should be going into the community and learning and not getting mad about reports that weren't even asked for to begin with. And why was all of this after $250,000 was given to this organization? I feel like everything's backwards with this. I've worked with grants for 5 years now, and genuinely, when you give people money, you give them the at the get-go, here, you have to do this when we give you the money. So that's just a failure of administration. So it's clear that there's complacency, there's laziness, and the fact that very few people supposedly knew about that, and those that did, and I know there are, that those of you that know about these organizations didn't stand up and say, hey, wait a second, this whole time over these past couple of months is honestly kind of offensive to those organizations. Okay. So I want to read a number, $93,715,702.43. Does anybody know what that number is? That is the total number in funding on the agenda tonight, the entire amount. Again, $93,715,702.43. Not a penny of that is for the continuum of care that was mentioned last week. Not a single penny. This body has searched and searched for solutions, and you were literally given a 4-hour presentation on it last week. And not a penny of the $93,715,702.43 was put towards the continuum of care. So tonight, I ask that City Council do the right thing and fully fund the Heartland Continuum of Care with the remaining $2,087,158 needed. This represents 2.2% of the funds on the agenda tonight. Again, 2.2%. I suggest this city invest in the continuum of care and stop sending cops to bully the unhoused. And I also ask that they help Sangamon Towers learn how to purchase and install locking mechanisms on their buildings, lawn, and everywhere around, seeing as the only solution to their problems is to yell at and complain about and bully the unhoused instead of, locking their doors. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The next person signed up to speak is Robert Frazier. Mr. Frazier.
Good evening. Happy birthday, Mayor. Poverty is our problem. It's all around us. It's closing in, and it ain't gonna stop until we do something different. We gotta do something different, and obviously CSA is doing something different because we've reached over 800,000 people, loads of laundry for this year. It means there's a problem. People just don't need help with laundry if they have the ability to do it. That's just one snippet of what we need to do to help people get on their feet and stay on their feet. Poverty is going to cause, you think guns are what we have to worry about? No. We see gun violence is horrible, but people that are desolate and desperate do desperate things. Gun violence is just one of them. I'm not sure of the other statistics. I couldn't write them down fast enough for as the chief was speaking, but we have a problem with the way money, federal money, is disseminated in this, around this area. And once again, it's something that I'm trying to learn as fast as I can. The powers that be that I reach out to find out more and to get involved and to ask for support don't follow back up with me, including the Heartland, Josh. I called him a couple times. I don't hear from these people. The problem is that most of these people that they're somewhat of them, my friends. It's real hard to do business with your friends because they see you in a different light. It really doesn't, I don't really understand that because we're in a small enough community that when you develop relationships and they know and understand you, it seems like they would respond better when you ask questions and reach out for a need. Like I said last week, I receive a lot of pleasantries. These are the same things that I talk to the people that participate in the CSA program. When they come into the facility, it's like they can't believe that they're getting immediate help without going through all these hoops and different things that they need to qualify for and all of that just to live. It is important that we do something different other than what we've been doing for many, many, many years as the problems of poverty are increasing. And no, I do not have all the answers. I am on the laundry side of things, and we are providing solutions to a problem, but we're not getting any support. Like I said, I've reached out, and I'm going to continue to reach out and try to involve the people that understand how the money flows, because that's not only important to me, it's important to a lot of the people in the back behind me and a lot of the community that's not receiving the funding that it needs to move forward. We have to build the confidence in people to let them know that we care. Let me just say this. We're in a community that if government downsizes and the health industry downsizes, Springfield's a ghost town because there's really nothing much else to do. Yeah, we have some great companies. Hanson, we've got some large, medium-sized companies, but not a lot of them. So these people that we're talking about that are living in poverty don't have options for jobs. There's a lot of reasons to that. There's a lot of dynamics to that. Part of what CSA does helps that situation because it gives them confidence. It makes them believe in themselves. It gives them some reason to move forward because they look good, they feel good. But outside of that, training and ability to understand what it takes to get a job. None of these people that are doing these crimes are working gainful employment. Would you agree that these people are not gainfully employed, right? These people are desolate. They're reaching out. They're screaming out for help. Figure out a way how we can come together with all the meeting of the minds and the money and the funding to support local communities to change the narrative. And like I said, we've gotten to where we are with little or no funding and a lot of hard work. And I know what that is. I've been doing that all my life. Times are different now, but we can still do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Gregory, did you want to talk to Mr. Frazier?
Yes, Mr. Frazier, who you said you called continuing care, and who else did you call? Economic development?
Yeah, I called economic development.
And you haven't gotten a call back?
No.
Mayor, if we may
I will
ask.
check on that because I know I talked to Mr. Frazier about possible grants through
Yeah.
SPD too. So.
And like I said, it's tough because these are people that I know, right? So maybe they take this situation lightly and don't understand, but And I hate to just run into people and all I got to say to them is, well, gimme, 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 right? That's not me. So I just push forward. But we need support for a program that's doing a lot of work in this community, and a lot of people is changing lives one load at a time, and we need support to do that, not only on the city, but state and federal level. And that's what we're running after.
Well, I definitely see value in your program and your Ward 2 business. We want to keep you there in business. I do think there should be a way that our continuum of care partners with you. We passed the $250,000 for them now. And hopefully you can get with economic development. I know there's some national narrative things, and it may not fit perfectly with that, but I've seen us do some amazing things. But I will also tell you that I will support a continuum of care working this in. I think that is important. I think that others need to be at the table. People who are unhoused definitely need to wash their clothes. So I don't know why they wouldn't be willing to work with you. I don't take Mr. Sabo as that. I look forward to having a conversation to see how we can work together to provide a valuable service without you going out of business. I will educate our council that he started this program when we had a derecho, and everybody needed somewhere to wash their clothes, and everybody was going to Mr. Frazier's and his wife, Miss Pam's laundromat to do a lot of washing, and they were welcoming people in left and right, and it was a major service, and it took off from there. The value is seen in it. I see it, but I wanted to sit here and not say nothing for weeks at a time, just to see what type of response that you get, because if I could do it, I'd do it. You know, I'd make it happen. I'd weave this thing on through, and you wouldn't be up here no more. Yeah. I'll say to our good people in the crowd, as far as unsheltered people, how funding. We do have some home ARP funds that is meant for that, not only housing but different disease prevention, homeless prevention, things of that nature, as well as the county, as well as Capital Township as well. I can say over the years that we have put in some significant amount into different facilities and things of that nature, and to services. I think that was put out there. But even with that $2 million, they need about another $1 million to $2 million in just outreach workers and people getting out to those areas where people are not going to utilize our shelters and vice versa. So it's something that the city alone probably will never be able to fund by itself. But as a collective community, we'll be able to nip some of it in the bud. So I appreciate your comments and thoughts and ideas always. But anybody who's seeking funding, call economic development, schedule a meeting with them, and they will try to navigate you to whatever funding that you qualify for. And if that does not happen, then we surely need to know about it. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there one more person, Mr. Frazier? Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Mayor. That just sparked the idea, because I know when I came to you during the derecho and we had someone to sponsor that for the 3 days, I saw the need. And I think, can you prepare those numbers and how many loads you did just within 3 days and how much that had cost? Because to be clear, during the derecho, we didn't care how many people. We wanted to ensure that it was open to everyone and they could do unlimited loads. So maybe put a presentation together and say how that structure was done and how much was paid out to you, and see when you're talking with Alderman Gregory and Josh Sable at the Continuum of Care, if even we can just start right there.
Right.
Like Alderman Gregory said, they received $250 from us, $250 from Capital Township, and $250 from Sangamon County.
Yeah.
So I think just that small amount that I had asked that entity to pay you, I think we can work that out through the Continuum of Care too. But also the mayor has some ideals as well that she just shared for OPID too. But that small amount I think can be done.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not sure what, and I hear what you're saying. Although, keep in mind that what we did during the derecho was directly for all-in-one laundry. CSA is a totally different entity. It's a non-for-profit 501c3 that is specifically targeted at the low income and underserved community. So I get what you're saying, and we can get that back. We can get that information to you.
And Mr. Frazier, we got to start somewhere because you've been asking for how long?
I don't know, but I'm gonna be a staple here. However it works out, and how I'm enjoying learning, and I do enjoy making a difference in the community. So I'm not going to be the one that walks away after you hear what I have to say. I'm going to listen to as much as I can to. I'm digesting all of this at this. I've never really been involved at this level on a public. I've always been.
No,
private.
thank you for coming
So
and
I
listening
appreciate
to us weekly as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next person signed up to speak is Michelle Cruz-Hine. Oh, did you? I'm sorry. Michelle, can you give me 1 second? Apparently Alderman Donlin wanted to speak and I didn't see it. I apologize, Michelle.
Mayor,
One
thank
moment.
you. It's your
Yes.
birthday. We'll let it slide. But Mr. Frazier, I just wanted to say thank you for coming up time and time again to the council, outlining a basic need in this community. I vividly remember Alderwoman Purchase and during the derecho and what happened and how you stepped up
Yeah.
and partnered with, I don't even know who your sponsor was now, I don't remember, but basic needs, dignity, those aren't asking too much. And we need to find a way to help you and help what you do. I think that's what our community deserves, and I'm not going to be too long here, but thanks for your patience. And it's not too often. I'm pretty bad with names, but I remember your name now, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. My apologies, Ms. Cruz-Hine. The next person signed up to speak is Michelle Cruz-Hine.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Michelle Cruz-Hine. I'm a District 186 teacher. My colleague and I reached out to Alderwoman Notoriano and Alderwoman Conley concerning Indigenous Peoples Day. You asked for a petition and a data sheet. We have that, and that email will be sent to everyone later this evening or tomorrow morning. We, the people of Springfield, Illinois, from wards 1 through 10, would like a proclamation of Indigenous Peoples Day to be issued, declaring the second Monday in October to become Indigenous Peoples Day. Even though Christopher Columbus is not on the city calendar, the silence and exclusion of Indigenous people is extremely problematic. By saying nothing, you are siding with Columbus. Christopher Columbus and his men are responsible for the genocide, rape, enslavement, torture, the onset of the encomienda system, and the Atlantic slave trade. When Columbus landed in the Caribbean, he placed a flag down claiming it for the Spanish crown. Within 1 month, he wrote in his journal, "My men brought 7 head of women, small and large, and 3 children. This meant that he kidnapped 10 Taino people, and it is historical fact from his own words in his journal that he and his men raped the Taino people, cut their hands off if they did not find gold, and enslaved the Taino on a mass amount, and brought forth the idea of the people being used as a commodity. He is responsible for one of the largest genocides in human history. The colonization of the Caribbean caused the birth of present-day white supremacy, colorism, and the systemic racism that we see in this city, which was talked about tonight and actually is prevalent in our schools. And we still have teachers that teach that colonization brought forth democracy, which is extremely problematic since there was democracy before colonization. And that's a whole nother topic. This proclamation would benefit the people of Springfield, Illinois in numerous ways. First, it would put an end to the commemorative narrative that Columbus was a hero. It would work towards upholding anti-racist values and recognize the displacement, genocide, and colonization of Indigenous people in the surrounding Springfield area. If I get these names wrong, I am so sorry to Indigenous people out there. Those people include the Algonquin who were displaced, the Potawatomi people who have been finally recognized and now have their first reservation in Illinois, the Nylaiwek, who the state is named for, among dozens of others. It would say, "You matter." Springfield currently has a population of 2% of Indigenous people. My wife is one of them. She, representing the organization Families for a Ceasefire, brought you a signed petition last week. In addition to her voice, in November 2022, Native American residents of Illinois addressed a Springfield Summit about the history being taught in public schools, among other issues. One quote from that summit sums up this entire issue. What we are trying to do today is not just for Native students or Native youth, but for all minority students. By proclaiming Indigenous Peoples Day, you would celebrate Indigenous culture and Black and Brown culture, language, identity, everything that colonization took from each one of them. The very act of Indigenous Black and Brown people celebrating their culture is an act of resistance. Just the very thing that white people take for granted, i.e. hairstyles, language, clothing. By formally recognizing the second Monday as Indigenous Peoples Day, you would be bringing equitable conversation into this city. You would be uplifting communities that have been silenced. You would be recognizing people who have been long ignored and forgotten. You have the opportunity to set us on a path towards healing. We call on Madam Mayor and the Honorable City Council to issue a proclamation officially recognizing the second Monday in October as Indigenous Peoples Day. In addition, just some few data facts: 14 states, 216 cities, and 20 counties observe Indigenous Peoples Day. Champaign is actually one of them. In addition to this, the number of Springfield, Illinois organizations, museums, and entities have signed or posted agreements in accordance with Indigenous Peoples Day. Some of those include Families for Ceasefire, Black Lives Matter in Springfield, Resistor Sisterhood, the Dominican Sisters of Springfield, the Faith Coalition, the Abraham Lincoln Unitarian Universalist Congregation, Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum, Illinois State Museum, Springfield and Central Illinois African American History Museum, the Illinois Public Health Association, and the Student Government Association at University of Illinois in Springfield and Illinois Central College. There's among others. I really hope you make this proclamation happen. We would be a great city to do this. It would address systemic racism in schools. And actually, honestly, talking about everybody who's talking about this stuff today, 30 to 35% dropout rate comes from Springfield school systems. And I think, honestly, of the teacher who teaches that colonization brought forth democracy. And that just makes me think, who is gonna drop out listening to that? Black and brown people. Those are the most people affected by this system of teaching, and it has to change, and we can recognize it. You have the power to do that, and I hope you do.
Definitely support you.
The next person signed up to speak is Emily Anderson. Emily?
Hello, I'm Emily. My first time here. Happy birthday. Glad to share my first time with you. Hello, everybody. I work with Ms. Cruz, and we started this by trying to have our students realize there's more than one side to Columbus Day. And it's just kind of rolled into this. We'd like to get it changed on the District 186 calendar to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day rather than Columbus, or not Columbus at all, just Indigenous Peoples Day. And there's some codes we have to go through, and we thought coming to the City Council would help a lot to get this moving even more. I second everything you said. I kind of took notes while people in the crowd were talking, and thinking about why we care connects a lot to what people have said tonight. Chief Charlotte said we need to hold people accountable. Columbus is not somebody we put on a pedestal for like the terrible things he did, and what's that showing our community? You know, if somebody who's committed genocide, raped, slavery, child sex slavery, like what are we telling our community when we put somebody like that on a pedestal? Alice Ramsey said, do things right and teach the children. You know, if we change the narrative in the textbooks, students are going to be talking and asking about the Indigenous people. You know, who are they? Not just thinking Columbus, this one man, is a hero because they know no better. Robert Williams said, take initiative. And that's what we're trying to do, have students be able to look at two sides of a story and make their own opinions. Who else? Bradley Russell, history repeats itself if we don't correct it, right? So who do we want to be our youth to follow as they grow up? Donald I'm not sure how to say your last name, but whose land will be seized for the pipelines. Native Americans' lands wiped out. We don't hear anything about their side. We don't acknowledge it. We don't really think to care about it. Who else can? We care about the community. People have value, right? Indigenous people, let's show their value, give them value. Jenna, Broom, vulnerable people being bullied and victimized, just like the Indigenous people were. Robert Frazier, do something different other than what we've been doing. And I had it in my notes, and he said it, change the narrative. I think as Springfield, as a city, we've been in the national news in a negative way. We have the ability to change the narrative. We can become a city that, we give voices to the victim. Okay, 200 other cities across the U.S. have changed how they look at Columbus Day. They do Indigenous Peoples Day. We are Springfield, the capital of our state, the land where Lincoln walked. The city that was all too recently in the news. Let's stand up for the values we want to see our city reflect. We believe positive change can start with just the change of a name. So again, we ask you, we would love to have Indigenous People Day be the second Monday of October. Thank you.
Ms. Anderson, if you'll stay there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Alderman Gregory.
Thank you. I agree with what's been said here, but I thought we had already made that change. So Corporation Council, do we have to do a proclamation or ordinance change to change that in our calendar?
I don't believe we acknowledge it, or we have it scheduled on our calendar.
Does it say?
We don't recognize either.
Yeah, we don't, so I don't know if Columbus Day was previously removed, but this year we did not recognize either day. And I know the city was open and we were working. So we could have a proclamation to declare it would be
We don't
the next
recognize
step.
it as a holiday is what he's saying.
Okay. Well, I definitely support.
We were at work that day.
Okay, you come on.
Yeah, it's probably another day we ain't like. I ain't like. I definitely would support doing something to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day, and along with any of my council members, I definitely would support for us to do that. Thank you.
Alderman Gregory.
And you could have a proclamation without, like, if you don't support having it as a holiday, you can have a proclamation without it being a holiday, correct? Yes.
Alderwoman Conley? I'm sorry, Alderman Gregory, were you done?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman, thank you for starting this conversation off like that. I would certainly join you in that, in supporting a proclamation for Indigenous Peoples Day. Emily, thank you so much for coming in. We've had a number of conversations about this, and I think one thing that you've both kind of referred to, but I just want to highlight, coming from Springfield Learning Academy, which is one of our alternative programs for education, challenging students there to not consider this, an alternative in a negative way, but a way to really, you're using your time and your skills as educators to encourage young people to take different perspectives on long-held assumptions, and I think that's creating the kind of thinking young adults that we really value. So thank you for that. Thank you for bringing it around this issue. I think you highlighted so many reasons why, mutual respect and respect for people who were here much longer than any of our ancestors, well, at least my ancestors. I won't speak for others right now, but so I just want to thank you both for coming tonight. Very happy to join Alderman Gregory in asking for a proclamation like this. However, we need to format that. If it's proclamation or resolution, I'd love to co-sponsor that with you. And I just want to say also, thank you to your students for picking up something like this. And we talk about doing research on it and looking into implications of this and really tackling an issue. I appreciate that, so please also convey my thanks and appreciation to them for their work too. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Alderwoman, so we have one more, sorry, ma'am. Both of you, I guess. So, Alderwoman Notriano. We had someone else that wanted to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. I would also like to be added as a co-sponsor on this proclamation. I agree with you. I thank you so much for coming and I want to thank you specifically for taking on this project with your students. It's such a good example of learning by doing, and I'm really pleased with everyone. Thank everyone for coming to speak tonight. I think we need to have the Mayor's Youth Council here every night, because I've never seen people comport themselves in such civil discussions. So I'm very thankful that this will be a meeting that you can show your students.
And you're always welcome to come visit the school. I know a few people have been in, so thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other alders? Okay, we're good. Just one, Alderman Downland, tell me I skipped him. The next person signed up to speak is Brianna Roberts.
My name is Brianna Roberts. I'm in an orange satin shirt. I have curly hair and tan skin for those of you who are watching at home. I was originally going to talk about what Misty had said about the community on the 1450 podcast, but I think Ken did a really good job at summing up what the community feels about what was said about us. So I want to talk about something else that was brought up at the meeting while I was at work. I was watching the live, and I know that a huge topic of discussion was juveniles and what we can do to fix the juvenile delinquents and how has this happened and what's going on with the youth in Springfield. So I want to share a little bit about my personal childhood and also some statistics and personal experience from working with children at the Boys and Girls Club for many years. First, I grew up on the east side. Spruce Street, I grew up watching drug deals. I grew up being almost a victim of drive-bys countless amount of times. I watched children be corrupted by the neighborhood that they grew up in. And I was fortunate enough to have a strong enough family system where I wasn't one of the children that fell through the cracks, and I'm very fortunate for that. And aware of my privilege, but I do want to say I did grow up in a single-parent household, and I don't think that it's fair to coin that as this huge issue. Like, I mean, it is an issue. It's something that needs to be addressed, but that's not the leading thing that we need to be focusing on. There's other issues, and that's a branch of a bigger problem. So I just want to bring that to light. One thing I do really want to put on your guys' radar is something called the school to prison pipeline, where children are basically indoctrinated. And I want to highlight that it's mostly African American children or children of minority groups, where they are indoctrinated to get out of the school system and go straight into prison. There's a couple of ways this happens. The zero tolerance policy is one way that children are indoctrinated into this, because they are taught that there is no leniency. You make one mistake and that marks you for the rest of your school career. I also want to say the presence of police in school is another way that children are indoctrinated into going straight into prison, because it changes the school system from going somewhere to learn, where they are basically being taught that if you don't listen to authority, you are immediately, again, going to be like tainted as this bad person. And statistically, 26% of Black students receive at least one suspension over a course of 3 years. How many years do children go to school? That's a lot of years for you to get a suspension. And it is 3.2 times more likely for Black students to be suspended or expelled than white students. And that is a problem, because what is the demographic of our prison? And how do those statistics echo these right now? Working at the Boys and Girls Club, I seen that most of the children that were participating in the program were Black and brown students that came from really impoverished neighborhoods. And you can tell the ones that had the least amount of resources by those were the children that were acting out because they didn't get attention at home. Those were the children that were getting in trouble because, again, they didn't get attention at home. And I don't want you to think, oh, well, they're not getting attention at home because it's a single-parent issue. Just like Brad had mentioned, why is it a single-parent issue? My dad was one of the Black men who fell through the cracks, who is in jail, in and out of jail. He was a drug dealer. He was in gangs. It's a common story for black children all over America, and we need to start asking, why is that a common story? Why are we failing the black men in the community, and why are we putting all of this pressure on black women to pick up the slack where our local governments are failing? And I'm not blaming you guys specifically, I'm just talking about in general. I'm a trauma-informed mentor. I have training and certification in how trauma affects you. You could experience something that is traumatic at the age of 5, and it will affect you up until the moment that you take your last breath. That's why therapy is important. That's why I think it's important for people who are in power to also be trauma-informed, because the things that we're trying to tackle, drug addiction, unhoused populations, poverty, all typically leads back to trauma that has been neglected and has mostly been implemented by other people in power. And I just want to echo that if we don't address the leading issues, and I understand you guys aren't responsible for things that happened 40, 50, 60 years ago, but you guys are the ones that stepped into these seats and gave yourself these titles and these roles to fix the problems that other people created for you, and I think that needs to be taken more seriously. And the last thing I'm going to say, and I'm going to get off of this, is that if you guys really care about addressing the real issues, I really encourage you to become more trauma-informed and work with the poorest part of your communities. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That's all we have.
Adjourn.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. All those who say nay. Motion carries. We had a couple of late ayes. Very kind of
Birthday, Mayor.
It's really